And we're back. Here we go. I'm going to find some music for our stream today. As you can see on screen, I have a copy of the Collected Speeches of Kai Moros, which is by Antelope Hill, and I strongly recommend it. Um, Kai is actually, I consider him a friend. Hello to the first person who showed up. Just going to give me a minute to get some music hooked up here. Hang tight. Okay. As usual, these streams are very chill. A little bit of art, a little bit of music, a little bit of chat. What we need, let's see. Maybe a little jazz today. Actually had a jazz lo-fi channel somewhere, but I think we'll hit this one up, see what we get. Oh, chill. Me likey. All right, so I'll just get started here. You guys kind of let me know you're here when you get here. Let's see, I'm gonna move the camera a bit. Don't know if I can exactly. It's a little tricky. Okay, I know what to do. It's just been quite an adventure doing this piece. Links in the shadows, my dear. I send you a big hug from America. Is the music too loud, Links? All right. As usual, before you start, you set up your palette, and I'm going to do that now. Let's see, we're going to need some yellow ochre. Okay. I love yellow ochre. Something about it. What do we got here? We got crimson red and burnt sienna. Burnt sienna has got to be one of the most commonly used colors in Western painting, I would wager. Unfortunately, this one is drying up and it's hardened, so I don't know how much I'm going to be able to get out of it. It's actually quite hard to get anything out of it, but we'll use some. Welcome to you guys. Another chill studio stream. Okay, how about a little bit of Prussian blue? Standard colors for Western oil painting, and this is watercolor, by the way, what I'm doing. I have to get this open. Hold on a second. So since it's dried up, I just take a paper clip and kind of get that worked out. It came out of the side, so it's broken. Let me see what I can get out of it here. Let me check. Okay, hold on. What kinds of precautions you have to do? When you get your hands filled with paint and whatnot, it can get on the canvas or the paper, so you just have to be careful. That's the life of a painter, is you're just pretty much constantly messy. There's always paint on everything. All right, where are we going to start here? I'm going to look at the original. Like I said, if the music's too loud, let me know, please. So I'm putting a link to the original painting in the chat. If you'd like to take a look at the original, you can click on that link. And hello to the 6 people here. You can go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat if you'd like. I just would really like to know if the music's too loud for you guys. That's all. All right. So I use a variety of brushes depending on what it is that I'm painting, the size of it, the texture of it. And you essentially have to select what it is. I'm working in a really small area here in the corner, so got to pick out some small, delicate brushes that have like fairly fine lines. Occasionally, you can get a larger brush that comes to a really nice point. And the pencil's funny because occasionally you actually can draw over what you're doing, or you might need to clarify what it is that you're doing with a pencil. This particular brush is used for inking comic books, and it's a classic sable brush. It's very useful. I think I'd like to get some of the background in, but I really have to get these figures done. So we'll see what we got going today. Okay. So with the paint, you kind of mix up a little bit that you need. You know, I got a little black and some water, and then you can test it like that, like kind of on a sheet of paper, and see that's a fairly light gray, you know, whereas that's a black. And you see the difference in the tones. So I'm going to add a little more black to my little palette business over there, and I want to work on this guy here. Might be a little too wet. So one thing that's nice to do when you're painting is you kind of lay down some of the important aspects of a piece in gray or burnt sienna, and then you go back and throw a color over top of it, and that gives it some dynamics as far as like color is concerned. So you're always playing with, or I guess I could say orchestrating between color and tone. So like tone is how dark or light something is. There's another aspect of it which is called hue in English, Hue. The hue would be how bright or not bright a tone is. So things that recede in space are the hue gets more and more dim, for example. So this piece is extremely spatial. You have a very, very deep depth of field, and as a result, you have many layers of hue and intensity to cope with. It's very challenging. Speaking as an artist, um, but the result is that you get a much better painting when you have all these kinds of challenges, which is quite interesting to deal with. Now the client, when he finally gets this piece, will really have hours of visual enjoyment from it, because there's so many areas of the painting, and there's so many things to look for. I feel like a painting should have a life of its own. You should be able to, kind of like a song. You want to go back to your favorite song, and every time you listen to it, you feel happy. But you never get sick of it. You see my point? So I feel like a painting should be like that too. There should be something about it that is enriching, and maybe something that you discover almost new each time. So here I'm doing a little bit of shadow, and I can add some blue into the black to give it a cold hue. You see, and that makes for an interesting piece to look at. The relationship of cold and hot colors give a great deal of depth, or maybe breadth, Breath, DTH, to a piece. And one can selectively make a piece warm or cool by the type of colors one uses. In this particular case, I'm doing a duplication of a painting. So I'm just trying to stay true to that piece. Although I might add that I do embellish a bit here and there. I think I'm taking a little liberty in doing that, but it's not so much so that you can't recognize it or that it destroys the integrity of the piece. I'm just, in a sense, trying to give it my signature, if you will. Quick look at the chat. Let's see who's here. We've got Mr. 262. Good evening from the Iberian Peninsula. And the music volume is good. Thank you, sir. My uncle on my father's side did a DNA test, and I saw that I had like a super small little bit of Iberian DNA in me. So I understand that to be Spain, Portugal. Am I correct? Yes. So Zach Klein, welcome back. How are you today, sir? All right. So let's keep working. Going to be a little more bold with these colors and these strokes here. This entire area has a kind of a ominous shadow running through it. It's very, very tricky in this painting because the base of it, or the grounding, all everywhere that where there's stone, which is, you know, everywhere behind the people, is either a bluish hue or a yellowish hue. And the danger is that if you mix those two, you get green. And I don't want that. I'm not on a you know, a cow pasture or something where there's green grass. So it's quite a difficult challenge, I guess, as a painter, is to try to figure out how can I transition from these cooler backgrounds to this kind of yellow ochre stone. And I am kind of curious, actually, what kind of stone they used in those days, you know, to build these temples. Would be an interesting topic to research. So as you see over here, I'm kind of testing out the tone and the hue. You guys are getting a free art lesson here. All this business. So I'm going to be doing a show with Josh Neal and Jerome Schmidt shortly. I believe it's in a couple days, like maybe Wednesday. I have to. It's on my Twitter. You can find out when it is. But we're going to be discussing art and values and qualities and the various aspects of it. I feel that our sphere there's a lot of momentum and interest in the arts right now, which I of course love. The White Art Collective has obviously had a great deal to do with that, I believe. I mean, who else has been in the arts in our sphere as long as the White Art Collective, right? So, as it becomes a topic of interest in our sphere, you have more and more people who, you know, are intellectuals who want to talk about it, want to dig into it. I was on Joel Davis's. He had a panel discussion on his channel. Oh, I don't know, 2, 3 weeks ago or something. I was quite pleased to be asked to be on there. Joel always produces very, very strong work. He's a gifted intellectual, and I like that he's trying to turn in a more positive direction as far as the kind of content. But I suppose it's a difficult thing to do, living in a sort of toxic world that we're living in. So anyway, it was a pleasure to be a part of that. And I think what I'm trying to do is just keep the momentum going. So I had two major, what do you call it, like major events on my channel on Imperium Arts, where recently, in the last couple days, where I interviewed Mark Collette and Frody Midjord. And so, these guys are upper echelon. They're top tier content producers in the movement. I wish we would agree one day on what we want to call this movement. I always loved the term the alt-right. I don't see really what's wrong with that. Um, a lot of people say that after Charlottesville that we can't use that anymore. No matter what we use, the left is always going to try to co-opt our names and our language, our dialectic. So I think at some point we have to say, just screw that, and stop sort of cucking to that pressure and owning our identity, owning our meaning, our purpose, what it is we do. Um, but I do believe that the white positive sphere or white positive movement is probably the best dialectic because it's something really that would be very hard to lie about. I mean, it's called the white positive sphere. It's it's kind of like the psychology of Black Lives Matter. You think, well, who could argue with that? And so it's a great lie, meaning Black Lives obviously matter. Nobody's arguing that, but it's just a fake title, for a Marxist movement. So, you know, I don't know if you put Kool-Aid on a bottle of bleach and people started drinking it, then you would get the analogy of what I'm talking about. It's been quite an experience doing this painting because, in a sense, I'm living out the battle, by painting in detail every single person that's visible on here. There's quite a lot that aren't, in the background, but all the looting and the murder. I don't know if murder is the word, but I suppose it is in some regard. But it's quite powerful stuff. I don't 100% know where the painter is coming from in terms of his personal politics or um, views, religious views, or anything of that. I kind of get the sense that he's a little more sympathetic to the Jews than the Romans, in that if we look through the painting, uh, there's all these kind of the body language and various elements that show the humanity of the situation, and it's quite tragic. I think you understand what I'm saying. As I paint the piece, I can't help but think that everything we're living through now is their revenge for this. Which is obviously very disturbing. So, like with the ochre yellow, I can't just use straight ochre yellow. It's too pure. I have to dampen the hue. You see what I'm saying? I have to kind of lower the hue and make it not such a pure yellow. I like a more of a dirty yellow, I suppose, to give it a look that it's a kind of a stone rather than the kind of yellow you would see on, say, corn or something like So a stylistic component to what I'm doing is allowing the watercolor to show. There's, how do I say, like in, let's say in oil painting, for example, you can, and also in watercolor, you can blend the colors so much so that it just seems seamless. um, no pun intended. Um, Whereas I like to show the brushwork. I think that it adds a layer of interest for the eye. Um, there's something to it that feels organic, and I'll just be honest. I'm very selfish. I like it. Just I like it. That's reason enough. It'd be interesting to get into an aesthetic debate. And a debate about aesthetics. Like, what are good aesthetics and what are not? Um, I do think that there are parameters for a discussion like that, but it's about taste. One has their own taste in various things. So that is where you'd have a divergence of views and things like this. I should also announce that I'm trying to set up a new show. I wouldn't say it's a new show on the regular. I would like to make it regular, but the show would, I believe I'm going to call it Afternoons at the Museum. And what I'm doing is inviting people to join me to look at virtual museums on the internet, museums around the world that have all kinds of art in them, and just discuss it, just enjoy it. It's Afternoons at the Museum. Like, honestly, it would be like a good wine stream. Grab a glass of wine, uh, perhaps a little, jazz in the background, classical in the back, something of that nature, and have fun. Because I feel like the left has usurped the arts. They've kind of taken the arts away from us. They've alienated the public from the arts, and that's one very deep and evil way of cutting us off from our own culture and history. So having a show such as Afternoons at the Museum would be a way for us to get back to that and enjoy that. And we can look at anything too. It's not like we're going to exclusively look at classical art. We can look at postmodern art, surreal, abstract, anything and everything, and then see how it goes. It should be very interesting. So I should like very much to invite Hearth of Europa and Links in the Shadows to join me on a show like that. I've scheduled my first one, or I am scheduling my first one right now with Hyrith, Olivia Key. Um, who else did I ask? I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this. Oh damn it! I'll have to look. I'm just so focused on the painting right now that my brain is not working. Who else is it? Oh, Jay Ledark. No, Jay Ledark is the artist. She's the visual artist in that crew. The other two are musicians. So it's really great to have another visual artist. There's not really a lot of visual artists in our sphere, and I don't know. I guess I feel kind of sad about that in a way, but maybe I need to look out for them a little bit more. So even though Jay Ledark and I will have the kind of language to explain art and talk about art, that's not, I don't feel that should limit our people from enjoying art. And yeah, art is a huge blanket term. I mean, there's art from all over the world, different cultures, etc. But in this case, I'm talking a little more about classical art, and Western art is really the word I'm looking for here. Sorry. And that's fair enough. Like if I asked you to listen to a song by some band you didn't know, and I said, "Hey, how do you like this song?" You, without any hesitation, you would say, "Oh, well, I'd like it," or "I like this part, I don't like it," something, something. And you wouldn't think that you had to go to college to have a music degree to talk about whether or not you like the painting. So why should you feel the same way about visual art? Why should you stop yourself and say, "Oh, well, I don't know anything about art"? Well, you know if you like it or not, right? Well, that's the starting point. Okay, so from there, you can have a lot of interesting discussion, but you have to dig into it. You have to dig into it. And I'm obviously there to facilitate that. I obviously am an art teacher, art professional. I can lead, um, but simultaneously, I'm not going to be telling anybody that they're quote wrong. It's about my approach is, do you like it and why? What is the painting about, and do you like it? So you have to first be able to explain something before you can critique it, I believe. There has to be a level of understanding what you're looking at. So, like, you're looking at this painting and you're saying, okay, I see it's some kind of historic painting, some big event in history. There's a battle scene. You start looking closer and you can see like the menorah. You see Roman soldiers, and you begin to say, oh, okay, it's sometime during the Roman Empire. It's something to do with, there must have been a battle in Jerusalem or something, right? So you're on to it. You're on to the topic. You can do a little bit of research and then find out, wow, holy cow, this is a major event. And suddenly your love of the painting, your appreciation for it grows exponentially. And now you're becoming culturally enriched. You see, but if you buy into the whole this idea that, oh, art is for sissies and lefties, and art's not masculine and cool, and I don't want to, I don't understand what I'm looking at. I'm afraid to look stupid by not being able to talk about something, blah blah blah. Well, then you're letting the enemy win. You're letting them cut us off from our spirit. Not cool. So that's why I'm having this show, and I'm going to be inviting people. I really don't know how I'm able to have all these shows. I'm losing my mind. Got so much to do, but can't promise that it's going to be every day, or it's not going to be every day, but that how consistent I'll be. It depends on the guests. There's no show if the guests don't appear, right? I have to have people to join me, right? Flash Gorgon from Rise of the Art Right, my good friend in Paris, France. I would absolutely have to have him on. Um, Brilliant guy that just, I have to say, I don't think he gets enough attention in our sphere. Like, he's in the White Art Collective. He's a brilliant meme artist. He's does animated GIFs and memes, and highly talented. Um, so I'm like, how come there's not more attention on him? Anyway, should I just shut up and paint? Shut up and paint, you flaky artist. Holy crow, we got a lot of comments here. Oh man, I got some reading to do. Iberian Peninsula, it is, but it's being vague. Oh, okay, gotcha. Good morning, CG, or yeah, camera wigging out again. Let you look at some color. Rev Right for a new name. Rev Right. What does Rev stand for? Revolutionary, right? Alt-right is cool, I agree. Screw the optics. Better than talk about us rather than Better they talk about us than change our name every 5 years. I know, I find that annoying. I think it's okay that there's names for, I guess, departments of the movement, so to speak. You know, the different sides. Like, okay, the White Art Collective is its own thing. You know, that's a thing, right? There's whatever. Moving on, links. Let's see what links has to say. Looking just at the name, BLM is as stupid as me too. Well said. Context matters for aesthetics. Handsome Horse. There's a guy I have to invite to the museum. Handsome Horse. Extremely articulate, brilliant guy, fantastic songwriter, great guitar player. I mean, it's all in the name. It's a great idea for a stream. Wine stream nationalism. I love wine stream nationalism. Hello. Still in beer hall nationalism. Yeah, yeah, beer hall nationalism. That's good. The left cuts us off from art by making it expensive and unpleasant and not fun. You could not be more true. That's the right vibe. Wine is too dainty. Oh, okay. Yeah. Who? Well, I'm a whiskey bourbon drinker basically. I'm a bourbon guy and Scotch. So we need Scotch nationalism too. Yeah. Who wants to look at a shark cut in half? That's disgusting. I totally know what you're talking about, Mister 262. I forget the artist's name. If you could call him an artist. I'm a visual artist, but with sound. Well said. Schnapps and sculpture. Mr. 262, we've got to hire you as our marketing agent, okay? Links in the shadow. I'd be glad to come on the show like that. Won't speak for Katrina. Well, Katrina, I'm sure would love to join us. How does that work? Hello, everyone. It's like a brush. Hello, Yankee Apple. I'd like to brush up on my drawing painting skills. It's been way too long. It's kind of cruising around here. Blushing is program vibes. Rye whiskey. Oh, okay, that's my man right there. Oh, Damien Hirst. Phil for the win. Damien Hirst. I believe he's a British artist, and I mean, I'm not really in the mood to talk about postmodern art or whatever, but he's like one of the darlings of postmodern art. So you can Google him if you want. Okay, it's funny because in this painting, there's areas that I like painting more than others. Like you know the background. That's whereas you have like fight scenes and fantastic drama and all these interesting things to do. But you gotta eat your vegetables sometimes, right? All right. Speaking of eating my vegetables, I'm gonna get back to work here. I'm really annoyed by the camera right now. Please stop. I don't know like if there is such a camera that I could get that would not do this because I'm moving my hands so much to do the painting. It's not like I'm sort of like showing my face and talking into the camera. It's different than that. So the nature of the beast, as they say. Deep breath. I should try to keep it on one plane though, like keep it as close to the paper as I can. Is it possible to turn off the auto zoom on the camera? I don't know how to do that. It's basically a camera hooked directly into YouTube. So I suppose maybe YouTube has settings for that, but I believe I'll have to look that up. Go fund me for a new camera. Uh, um, I don't know. I guess that to me that's like more time I have to spend on something. I mean, I can afford a camera. It's just the issue of like figuring out the tech crap. I don't know. It's annoying. but it's got to get done, I guess. So some highlights for this week. Did anybody see the show with Mark Collette on Imperium Art? And if you did, please let me know in the chat what you thought of the show. Mark had me and Jeff Winston on not long ago with there's a new group in the UK. I'm sorry, the name's slipping my mind right now, but it's essentially the UK version of the White Art Collective, Patriot Arts, something like that. And of course, it's awesome. You know, it's got a lot of great folks. I still have more to learn about them, so I'll be looking into that as time goes. Um, so yeah, I Jeff was kind enough to invite me to join him on that. So I'm very, very grateful that he did. It opened the door for me to invite Mark onto Imperium Art. And so that was just a lovely show. I mean, I admire Mark to the sky. You know, I think he's the cat's meow. You know, he's the bee's knees. Um, you know, he really is epic in terms of what he's accomplished. I often look at things in that way. Like, we're not all going to agree on policies and ideologies, but I advocate for unity. I advocate for understanding, working together, cooperation. I know that can't always happen, and it saddens me when it can't. But one of my policies is that I don't choose sides. Like, the mission comes first, and people change. I mean, look at how much Richard Spencer has changed since like 2016 to today. There are like maybe three versions of him. The pro-Trump, the anti-Trump, and then the Democrat version. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. But one thing you cannot take away from him is what he's done for the movement. Would there be a movement without Richard Spencer and what he's accomplished in his time? We all seem to have a very short political memory. We kind of forget about things, and I'm not. I don't like to get into the bog of like, oh, he said this and he did that or whatever. I'm trying to look at accomplishments. If a leftist I'll give you an example. There's a girl I follow on YouTube. I sorry, my memory is not working very well today. Anyway, she was sort of basically like a former liberal, okay, who just for saying common sense things got cannibalized by the left, which is why the left is going to ultimately lose. And she went off and made her own YouTube channel where she interviews other former liberals about that same experience. And she's got huge numbers. She's got a giant following. And that's again a testament to how the liberals are, or the I don't want to use the word liberals, the leftists are cannibalizing themselves and are going to eventually implode because of it. Now, I'm aware of conservatives' problems too, or whatever. I'm not trying to make that contrast so much, but um, she's helping. In some way, she's helping. Yeah, she's not on our team. I get it, but she's moving the Overton window in her own way. Look at Candace Owens. I know she's not on Team White, or whatever, but in some way she's helping. So this is my view: is that it's a spectrum. It's not all one thing or another. I'm okay if people disagree with that or whatever. My spirit's in the right place. I'm not. I don't need to like insult people to have a conversation or a disagreement about things. Um, Again, it's just kind of all about loving your people. If you come from a mind frame of loving your people, then all of this is so much easier. It's just so much easier. So anyway, getting back to Mark Collette, fantastic show, eloquent speaker. Highly recommend that you check it out. And then just after that, I did, like 2 days later, Nullis and I interviewed Frody Midyard. So I'm always afraid that I'm saying his name wrong. Midyard. It's it seems like a difficult language, but I would say that is I don't want to say the best uh, show I've ever done, but it's way up there. It's definitely going to be in the top three because of Frody. He's just an extraordinary thinker. He's very very courageous in what he does. To me, it's a lot about what have you done? Like, what did you accomplish for our people, our movement? That's huge. That's really really huge. So yeah, he gives his views on the arts, and he's not an artist, but he's got some really really strong views that are based in his personal philosophy and even his spirituality. So it just makes for an excellent listen, and I believe that it contributes to the overall health of our movement. One thing that helps a lot when you're painting is to know about anatomy and how the body looks, how the muscles interact and relate to each other. It's essential for art. You can't be a painter in the traditional sense and not understand anatomy. Um, it's critical. So take a quick look at the chat here. See what you guys are talking about. We got let's go up here. Hang on. Handsome Horse. No. I see. Sorry, I wanted the program of the rye whiskey. The Saatchi brothers paid for all that. Tracy Emin and Damien Hirst art says it's all really good. Yeah, the just like the financial market, the elites control the market. If they all decide, oh, we're going to buy this guy's work or this girl's work, then that raises the prices. It's just stupid. It's just so stupid. The elites don't tell us what art is. They don't dictate what culture is. Have you thought of a go? Da, 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 it's possible to turn off. Da, 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 end goal is our collective liberation. Correct. Patriarch. Yes, you're right. Links. I guess he is working a new religion with Mark Brahman called Apolloism. Apolloism. Yes. ApollonianTransmission.com. The ApollonianTransmission.com. I urge everybody to check it out. It's it's controversial. It's not for everybody, but you can't deny that it's a profound piece of philosophy and a great endeavor to reunite Western man with his Roman ancestry. So you can just kind of look at it and draw your own conclusions. Okay, Handsome Horse asks me, remind us what RBS accomplished. RBS, Richard Spencer. He brought a lot of notoriety rather than a lot of organization. I think he tried to in what do you call it, in Charlottesville, that imploded badly. Uh, it's a whole discussion. Let's see. How do you feel about fan fiction? Doodle Squatch, welcome back. For example, oh well, no, fan fiction's fine. I mean, it's not about fan fiction as much as it's about the quality of the fan fiction. There's tons of fan fiction out there, and some is good, and some is mediocre, and some is bad. So, but I think it's okay if you're into that kind of thing. Handsome Horse, Candace Owens got started by doxing people. Yeah, and I mean, this is kind of what I'm trying to point out is that I'll take everything I can get. I feel like anybody that's moving the Overton window, what you know, unwittingly or not, if they're not totally on board with us and our message, they're still moving the Overton window. They're priming an audience that we can come to later. You get my point? So I'm not saying like her interview with President Trump was super cringe because she was trying to climb the ladder and she sees herself as the vice president. Come on. I mean, she's great in her way, but she's you know cool your engines there. Anyway, I listened to the Frody interview. It was a good listen on the road. Excellent. It's good to listen to shows while you're driving. Good concept. Your pronunciation of Midyard is Midyard is good. Frody is at his best when he is bantering with other people. He's fabulous. I just can't tell you how much I love the guy. He's fabulous. Sounds like the camera is grooving out to the music. Hey, there you go. I like that. Yeah, that's what I meant it to be. Wink, wink. I just realized what this picture represents. Pretty based. Yes, sir. I should be able to put a link in the chat to the original painting. So, Imre Zakyo, you can check that out. Benjamin S. is here. Have you ever done miniature painting? I'm going to say no, but I've painted on a very small scale, if that makes sense. I have it's a kind of a Chinese painting I did 100 years ago. I'm actually looking at it on my bookshelf. And it's a miniature painting. It's the only thing that I could say is close to a miniature painting. I'm going to have to send you what one of those GOP grifters posted. Yeah, sure, man. I mean, I want to break into the GOP grifter world, because that just puts our message in front of their audience. And as Joe Biden would say, that's a good thing. How's the music, guys? You enjoying it? More than my camera work. Yeah. Can't win. I'm gonna see how you guys are doing in the chat here. Maybe stop that from jerking around. How do you feel about fan fiction? We did that. Picture. You don't know me. Is your camera taking time lapse photos? No, sorry. It just, if I, since I'm moving around a lot, the camera is trying to see how it can't focus now because I have to go and make some paint and then I put the paint on and I make the paint and I put it on. And so the camera is going in and out and in and out because of that. So I don't know really what the solution is. If somebody could suggest something, I'd love that. Okay, or is it auto zoom? It's auto zoom. Maybe if is there a way to turn off auto zoom? I'll have to check that out. Some kind of autofocus. Rebuilding a spirituality for our people should take high priority. So I will read this Apollonian transmission. Although I am very much attracted to the Vedic religion, as am I, Imre. I studied Buddhism for 25 years. That's another topic, but and the most cosmic religion I know. Um, Interestingly enough, there are relations between Vedic cosmology and the mystery schools and even Christianity that I'm discovering in my research now. But it's too hot, it's too spicy to talk about. So I'll let you guys find out about it. Anyway, yeah, the ApollonianTransmission.com is quite good. You'll have to go check it out. Well, you know what, fam? I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. I love you guys. I thank you so much for your time and patience. For some reason, I never think to check how to fix the camera before I go on. I'm just so anxious to go on and do this with you guys. But wanted to thank you for spending some time with me. Feel free to email me at americanzarathustra@gmail. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we will see you on the internets.